Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every morning at 10:30, where we take a look at headlines, comments, ideas, suggestions, questions, and all kinds of things that relate to not only Puerto Vallarta, but how to best enjoy Puerto Vallarta, our country, our city, our culture, from the point of view of a community of English-speaking locals. It is always a pleasure to be here. And today is the first Monday of the year, the second week of the new year. So it is a pleasure to be here with you. If this is the first time that you're joining us, my name is Paco, and we welcome you to this community of like-minded folks that get together every morning to just see how things are going, to ask questions, to provide insight and inspiration for everyone. If you are new, just write the word new in your comments, and we'll be so very glad to give you a proper welcome. We are going to take a look at some of your initial questions. In fact, let me see who's in the house. Let's take a quick look. It is always a pleasure to see familiar faces. Good morning, Pacolites. I like that. Thank you, William. Good morning. And it's great to have you here. Yakima is in the house. Let's see, Versalles is in the house. Here's a question from Jill Webb, and Jill has added the letter Q at the beginning of her question, which helps us identify these questions. You know, Jill, women are welcome at Mercurio on every day of the week. Mercurio's pet friendly as well, by the way. And if you have a costume, hey, you know, let me know when you're wearing yours. I'll wear mine, and we'll make a splash entrance. Let's see. Trucha always having something fun to say. Another Pee-wee quote, Mecca Lecca Hi. Today, we wish we had a Jumbie genie around because we're going to happen. Some miraculous things could happen today. Let's see. Oh no, it's wet up in Portland, Oregon today. It's nice to see that it's still very chilly down here, but it is not as chilly as it was yesterday. Let us see what else we have here. Is it true they finally closed rooftop bar in the Marina, but are opening licensed restaurant there instead? You know, Joe, I have not seen any headlines for that, but if that is what they've done, that's probably a very smart thing to do. I mean, if they've already set up the space to entertain, but they did not have the proper license to entertain loudly, that seems like a logical decision. Certainly, if they've already done the investment. I will keep an eye open for any advertisements that they have. Maybe they have a Facebook page. I don't even know what the place is called, but hopefully they'll do okay. Let's take a quick look. I am in Oregon by way of PB, says Lisa. Excellent. What else do we have? First work day of the year, says Christy. I work every day of the week, but I like it. New Year is over. Conchestina's house parties hopefully are over too. That's a nice wish, Margaret. And we're going to have some headlines to share about that today. Because all the parties are making national and international headlines, and we need to talk about that. Okay, so I have all the initial comments out of the way. Today we have important news. Of course, it is Monday, and on Mondays we always review the comments that we have from our governor regarding COVID. We also have an update on that crazy tourist that traveled to Puerto Vallarta with COVID and knowing that he had COVID and then collapsed on the Malecón. We were kind of upset about this a few days ago. And if you're wondering what happened with him or what was done to him, you get to find out today. And of course, we're also going to address an important issue. You know, every now and then we ruffle feathers here. Feathers get ruffled at Coffee and Headlines. And I did not anticipate that feathers would be ruffled so early in 2021. And this business of ruffling feathers is a good exercise for Luna and I to reflect on why we do what we do and how we do it and how we can better fulfill our goal to connect you with Puerto Vallarta and surrounding communities and Mexico and so forth and so on, as we clearly state at the beginning of every broadcast. In looking at past ruffle feathers incidents, I've noticed that they all seem to have a common thread. They all seem to have stemmed from unrealistic, uninformed expectations of what Coffee and Headlines is. So, because this seems to be happening on a regular basis, and hopefully not too frequently, we have created a very special section just for you, because I found out that there are some people who are allegedly very, very upset at some of the opinions that were expressed here a few days ago. And so we've created a special section for you who seem to be upset, and it is called The Shit Show. We even created an intro graphic for this very special segment. Take a look. But of course, most of you who are here do understand what this is about. And because you come here looking for a very specific, uplifting, nurturing, informative experience, we are going to save the shit show for the very end. That way, you can go through your regular news items and go through the stuff that you know and expect and love and enjoy about Coffee and Headlines. And then at the very end, we will go into the shit show and you can continue on with your very lovely day. I don't want to subject you to anything you're not used to. So there we go. Let's start with the news. Well, as always, we hear from our governor who curiously on Saturday also published a video saying something along the lines of, come on, guys, we're so close, just respect the guidelines. So clearly, the governor must be seeing some tension going on because the guidelines are the guidelines and people are infringing them. This is what he had to say yesterday. He said, this week, the Jalisco COVID-19 indicators show that occupation in intensive care beds decreased from 53.2% to 51%, but the general occupation at hospitals went from 34% to 40.7%. The positivity rate of our Radar Jalisco program increased from 43.2% to 46.5%, and in 15 days, we went from 98 to 90. That's weird. In 15 days, we went from 98 to 95 municipalities in high risk. That means that not as many high risk municipalities as before. That's curious because everything else seems to have increased for the worse, except for the number of municipalities that are at high risk. Then he continues saying regions such as Lagunas, Costa Sierra Occidental, Altos Norte, and Alto Sur decreased. Oh, okay, good. This is good news. They decreased their percentage of hospital occupation in public hospitals, but other communities like Sureste, Ciénega, Norte, Centro, y Sur, these are regions or clusters of municipalities in the state, they increased their percentage in hospital occupation. We need, he says, to increase our commitment to the measurements, to the guidelines that we all know so well. Unfortunately, says the third paragraph, December gatherings will continue to reflect in increased numbers of cases. We hope that the measures we took to decrease the mobility during the evenings and weekends until the 10th of January will help us revert that trend and cut the spread of the disease and save lives. Let us be conscious of our responsibility for our life's sake, for the life's sake of our families, and the life's sake, and for the sake of those that look after us. With the simple act of wearing a face mask, maintaining safe distance, and washing our hands frequently, we can make a difference. Let us not lower our guard. Jalisco and Mexico need us. So this is what Governor Alfaro had to say. And now let's take a look at the graphs that he shared reflecting this information. Here we have the general occupation percentage in public hospitals. This does not include private hospitals, as you know. And we see how it is at 40% for regular hospital beds, 51% for intensive care beds. We also see the occupation by region in public hospitals. We see that the region where Puerto Vallarta is located, which is down here, is at 11.8%, in contrast with, for example, this region north of the state, where 78.6% of hospital beds are being occupied. That is absolutely concerning, and it's a little comforting to know that it is not happening in our city per se. And lastly, here is the positivity percentage. This means, as we know, that of every 100 people that get tested because they feel they have symptoms, these are the people that are calling the emergency number saying, I don't feel well, 46.5% are testing positive for COVID-19. So these are the numbers. Again, we know what we have to do, and it is just a matter of doing it. Moving along the same lines, there are, in the update for the national stoplight map, there are 5 states in the red. This would be Baja California Norte. Let me see if the other ones are mentioned. Mexico City, the state of Mexico, Baja California Norte, and Guanajuato and Morelos are the 5 states that are in the red. We continue to have 2 states in the green, and we have 3 states in the yellow. Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco and Nayarit continue to be in the orange. And we know what being in the orange means. And if we don't, we can always look at the National COVID Information website so that we can remember what this means. Of course, we know that Puerto Vallarta and Jalisco run by different guidelines that have been established by our governor. So we are sharing this information just as a reference. There is this other information that comes from Mural, a Guadalajara-based newspaper, that tells us that Jalisco is in the 5th place for active cases of coronavirus in the country. So there are only 4 other states in Mexico that have more COVID cases than the state of Jalisco. This is, of course, concerning. But again, we know what we have to do, and we know how to do it. Let me take a quick look at your comments so far before we continue with our headlines. Let me set up the next headline. Let's see what you're thinking and what you're up to today. Oh my goodness, Paco, can you bring the what the fuck parrot for my 50th birthday today? Besitos. Well, first of all, happy birthday, Jorge. Happy birthday. You've been a regular for some time. You watch us from New York. You always have some interesting things to say. And I see you've changed your Facebook face. Now I get to see what you actually look like, which is kind of intriguing and fascinating. Of course, we can bring the what the fuck parrot on board. And we're going to do this now because it would be very tempting to bring it up during the shit show. But we don't want to ruffle more feathers than we have to. Here's the what the fuck party. The parrot. What the fuck? Which means happy birthday to you. I hope you have a really wonderful day. Let's see what else we have. Lots of good mornings. Thank you very much. Alan just registered on local county health website to receive vaccine, keeping my fingers crossed. I hope that process is very smooth for you. We still don't have any news of vaccines arriving in the state of Jalisco. Somebody inquired to me the other day, when are the vaccines going to arrive for healthcare workers here? I haven't seen any headlines, but I am sure we will see them at some point. Let's see. Let's see what else we have. This is a podcast about Luna, or am I in the wrong place? Well, Luna is taking phone calls today. The switchboard has been really, really busy. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. You can have a sequel. I don't want to get ahead of the shit show because we haven't even premiered it. Somebody's already planning on a sequel to the shit show and we haven't even premiered it. So let's not go there. Jorge, lots of love. Don't change your Facebook profile page because I want to end the show and I'm curious as to what you look like. And if you're just turning 50, you're perfectly right for me in terms of age. Let's see. Paul brings up a very important and interesting point. Numbers of cases by state doesn't mean much without the population of the state. This is very correct. And again, all these numbers are informative, but can also be very confusing when we know that what we can do on a regular basis is simply take care of ourselves and our loved ones by following the guidelines that we know. Okay, so what else? Oh my God, Luna will need a cocktail after all those calls. If you only knew. Okay, moving right along with more headlines. For better or worse, Vallarta is trending for COVID parties on social media in Mexico, around the world, etc., etc. Hashtag Vallarta became trend on Twitter all weekend because of all the photographs that people are posting, and people are attaching their quotes, their tweets, and naming our governor in them. So hopefully our governor, Enrique Alfaro, is paying attention to the fact that we are generating unpleasant, thought-provoking headlines about all this partying that is going on in the city. And as I told you before, do you remember that tourist from Puebla that was diagnosed positive? And he said, well, I don't care. I'm going to go on vacation in Puerto Vallarta. He came on vacation and he collapsed on the Malecón, and he was, needless to say, picked up in hazmat suits or whatever. And we are all wondering, well, what is happening with this guy? Well, he was not sanctioned. Nothing happened to him. He was taken care of in the hospital, and he was released. Apparently, this 26-year-old man who put our city in risk, or the people around him in risk. How unfortunate that we haven't developed laws to punish or somehow reprimand people that go out spreading bugs like that. But I am sure that legislators in Mexico are thinking of creative ways to handle this. The next one is more leisurely than serious, although it's quite serious. But let me throw in the weather right now. Weather. Failure. I put the shit show intro in the wrong place. My bad. Not time for the shit show yet. It's time for the weather. 22 degrees Celsius. It's warmer. It's warmer than last week. We were in the teens, and now it's 22 degrees Celsius. Feels like 24. It's 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is at 61%. Ooh, that's a snarky remark. I knew those 11,780 votes that I bought on the dark web would come in handy sooner rather than later. Says snarky carrot weatherman. I wonder what he's thinking about. Anyhow, the weather forecast for today, let's take a look, says that it's going to be clear throughout the day with a high temperature of 29, low temperature of 17. Tomorrow, same thing, clear throughout the day, high temperature of 29, low temperature of 18. And Wednesday, same thing, clear through the day, 28 degrees high temperature, 18 degrees low temperature. Great weather to go out walking, if you ask me, and exploring our city. I was out yesterday for the first time after having been sequestered in the house since I was in the house since Wednesday afternoon. Didn't leave the house until yesterday, and it was really wondering what it was like outside, and it was just really a wonderful time to be out. So if you get a chance today, it is a good day to go out and enjoy some sunshine, enjoy the weather. And let me switch over to my main screen. There we go. Let's see. I have more headlines for you that have to do, again, this is serious but funny. I don't know what to make of it, but apparently this man is a male nurse, not Norse, a male nurse from north of the border. I think he's in the United States, not entirely sure, but he apparently, according to the story, he attended a big bash, a big party, and he got COVID, and then he raised money to get rid of his COVID, and he raised $20,000 and then came to Puerto Vallarta to spend his money partying here. So he's being shamed all over the internet. Here is a photograph of his GoFundMe, where he raised $20,312, and then he came on vacation on Puerto Vallarta, saying, survival of the fittest, and making some really strange and awkward comments. And this information comes from Vallarta Opina. Of course, I do have the source article, and we'll share it with you, although I will advance the information that it comes from a website that is an entertainment, sexy gay website. So if you go clicking on the source article for this, which is in English, please know that you will see hard-ons and all kinds of things that are offensive to some, so please don't open this at work. Let's see, next headline. Oh, this is important. If you are a homeowner, if you pay for your water bill here in Puerto Vallarta, CEAPAL, which is the agency that takes care of our water bill, or where you pay your water, or where you obtain your water, they have announced a special program in which if you pay for your water bill in advance for the whole year during the month of January and February, you will get a discount on your water bill. I am a renter, so I don't pay for the water bill, but that is what that is about. If you are a homeowner and you need to pay your water bill, check in with CEAPAL. You may be able to save yourself some money. And last but not least, before we dive into the shit show, is we heard from our friend Michael Nolan last week during one of the broadcasts. Michael Nolan, as you know, was the host of the only radio show here in Puerto Vallarta for quite some time, several years, out of the University of Guadalajara. His wife, who works for the University of Guadalajara, was given a job in Guadalajara City, so they had to move to over there. And now his wife is working conducting research in the University of Guadalajara, and they have deployed this survey of the foreign community in Puerto Vallarta. It says here that the University of Guadalajara invites your participation in a comparative research survey about the international community in Ajijic and Puerto Vallarta areas. The objective is to know the effect of the social, economic, recreational, and cultural practices of the foreign population, along with the main characteristics of their social, moral, civic, and political identity on the community, and how the interaction of this foreign community with the local community has contributed to impose a type of economic development, urban space, and identity construction. That sounds super, super interesting to me, and I will share the link for this, and I will be so very happy if you partner with me in sharing this survey with your friends and loved ones from the local English-speaking community. What a great opportunity for our state university to find out interesting facts about who we are, well, rather who you are. I mean, I speak English, but I'm Mexican. Who you are and how you think, how you feel, how you operate in this place we call home, Puerto Vallarta. So let me take a quick look at your latest comments. Let's see. Bam, ba-dim, bam, boom, bam, boom. And let's see. Jalisco is doing very well per capita. Yes, this is definitely true, Mushi. Thank you very much for that. Let's see what else. I'm not getting this. What positivity will decline as of Friday? Canadians require tests. I'm not sure that I understand what you're saying, Kathleen. I know that Canadians are requiring tests in Canada or going back to Canada, and that is a decision made by the Canadian government and not by the Mexican government. So I don't know that we can explain the actions of the Canadian government any more than they can. So feel free to fill in or chime in on what you're referring to specifically. I have seen in Facebook partying a lot without masks. It will be interesting to know how it's going to be counting of COVID in 2 weeks. Well, not only that, Angelica, did I even put that on the screen? I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Not only that, but it'll be interesting to see whether Jalisco or Mexico as a whole, as a country, will be with no choice but to enforce harsher measures of isolation or containment as other countries have had or to implement, or other states in other countries. Let us hope that we don't get to a very drastic moment. Let's see. Mexican resort cities getting a rep for being the party's places, mostly because it is easy to fly there and no COVID quarantine required. Yes, I remember a time way back when, Steve, where it became quite common here in Puerto Vallarta to complain about spring breakers. We used to see a lot of headlines about spring breakers that used to come down south of the border and just go nuts. And of course, the consequences of spring breakers and the consequences of COVID are completely different. But it is one of those things. We have that reputation, and I think the more these headlines happen, the more the government is going to realize we have to do something about it, or they have to do something about it. Let's see. Matthew says, weather in Mexico City is still a shit show. Our predicted low for today will be 6 degrees. Well, Mexico City is very, very high up in the mountains, so I can understand why that's going on. And I have read through the grapevine that there are weather reports saying that we are going to continue to enjoy cold weather throughout the country. So let us get bundled and enjoy it while we can, and hope for warmer weather as the weeks go by. Let's see what else we have. Fascinating. I wonder if the survey people were canvassing at my neighborhood this morning. I had a knock on the gate, but was in the shower. I don't know. I really don't know if it's the same survey. I don't know if the University of Guadalajara is deploying representatives to knock on people's doors. William says, I believe Canadians are required to have a negative test. And that is correct. And we announced this a few days ago. If you are flying to Canada for whatever reason now or in the future, or until they change that guideline, you will be expected to take one of the rapid tests, PCP, they're called, or PCR. I forget what the initials are. And you have to take this test within 3 days prior of your departure. There are now a number of places in town where you can obtain the test, and I'm sure there are resources out on the web as to how you can do this or where you can do this. Let's see what else we have. I've been in Colorado lately. What is the lowest that it got to in Vallarta lately? Did it get close to freezing? No, it didn't, Michael. We report on the news every single day, and we've been on the teens as far as Celsius are concerned. Um, there's a lot of resources online where you can look at weather and weather trends, where you can come back every day, where we can tell you the weather on a regular basis. We share the weather just about every day of the week, except for Sunday. As you know, Sunday is Sunday Fun Day, and what a day we had yesterday. Oh boy. Disconcerting to see the gay community singled out for partying during pandemic. Straight community is equally guilty. I completely agree. And that's just the way it is. Okay, so it is 11 o'clock. We've gone through our program, and this is the time in which, for those of you that enjoy our brand of inspiring, hopefully, interesting, entertaining news and headlines and comments, etc., we are wrapping the show here, and we are beginning what I'm calling the shit show. So you don't have to stay for the shit show. If it gets ugly, I wouldn't want to bruise your high energy or your high spirit as you begin what will hopefully be a wonderful a wonderful week. So I hope you have a really good time. And now we start the shit show. Hello, this is the shit show. And today I'm going to start by sharing a story that happened to me a couple of nights ago. And what happened is I was lying in bed. It was after 10, and I was enjoying my wonderful nightly buzz that helps me go to sleep. And oh my God, let me clarify something. Will the shit show be a daily thing? Heavenly? No. Oh, heavenly, no. No, Joe. We're only going to have the shit show when it becomes time to clarify what we do, or when we've ruffled some feathers, and we will take care of unruffling them as nicely, as politely, and as positively, and as clearly as we can. Let us hope that we don't have to invoke the shit show very frequently. So, shit show today, hopefully not another shit show for a few weeks or a few months. So, back to the story. 2 nights ago, and you know what? I'm going to make your comments and reactions go away. You can still comment and react, but I don't want to be reading them because I get easily distracted. Feel free to throw in your 5, 10, 15, 20 cents and heckle at your own risk. So here's a story. 2 nights ago, I was enjoying my nightly buzz. It was after 10 o'clock at night, which in my book means that any phone calls, any messages, anything that comes and disrupts my buzz is impertinent by the book. So it was past 10, and I got a message from someone that has access to my personal Facebook profile, somebody that I have socialized with, and it came after 10. So in my book, it came at an impertinent time. And here is the message. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but I do have to share the first paragraph because it sets up the stage for everything that followed. Hi, Paco. As a friend, I have to tell you I was profoundly upset with you during yesterday's broadcast. I wouldn't say this if I didn't consider you a friend. I am upset to no end. I'm only sending this as a courtesy. Oh boy. So I'm lying in bed enjoying my buzz and looking at Luna, and I'm like, so what do I do? What do I say? Well, what I did and what I said is what I usually do. And I said, thank you. I said, thank you for that. And because I was not going to engage, certainly not after 10 o'clock. This message came without any kind of good evening, good afternoon. Do you have a moment? Nothing. The message came with that sense of entitled expectation that certain people have when they think their stuff is more important than anybody else's, and it requires undivided attention at that very moment. But I didn't want to engage. I just said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, this person kept engaging and saying, well, you have, I was like trying to find out, well, what is bothering you so much? And it's like, well, you have a public forum and you have a public opinions and I must respond publicly. And I kept thinking to myself, well, this is not a forum, but let's see where this goes. So again, I was trying to go back to my buzz and trying to go back to sleep and saying, well, if you were my friend, you would tell me what's bothering you, right? Oh no, I have to go and say it online because I have to say it online. I'm like, okay, fine. If you're not going to tell me what you're thinking, either because this went on for a while, and I said, either cut to the chase or say good night, because you've already told me that you're not going to tell me. So then let's end this conversation so I can go back to my bus. And he kept going on and going on, and then he shared some of this unreliable, unproven rhetoric that we so much frown upon here at Coffee and Headlines. He said, you do realize that a lot of people disagreed with you. Sorry for the typo. That was not mine. That was just what I copied and pasted. And then he said, there are lots of people mad about your broadcast yesterday. And I'm like, okay, but I'm still in bed. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm enjoying a buzz. There's nothing I can do about this. So again, either tell me what's your beef or say goodnight. So he wouldn't say goodnight. So I said goodnight. And that was the end of that. Of course, my buzz was killed. So I stayed up and I figured, oh my God, if I say, oh, and one more important thing, he did mention something about Jeffrey Sanker, the organizer of those big circuit parties that we've been complaining about. So I figured, oh my God, I must have said something horrible about, Jeffrey Sanker. So I went to the broadcast from the night before, the one that apparently offended him so much, and I watched the whole thing. And in that entire broadcast, I didn't mention Jeffrey Sanker. So I figured, okay, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm going to try to get some sleep because tomorrow is Sunday Fun Day, and we want to have a Sunday Fun Day because those of us that are here every day and those of you that are here regularly look forward to Sunday Fun Day, right? So we start Sunday Fun Day, and this person appears. And he's like, well, aren't you going to take discussion? I'm like, well, it's Sunday Fun Day, but you wanted the soapbox, have the soapbox. Tell us what you're thinking. And it was a really funny, awkward, weird moment in which I just sat here. You can watch the broadcast if you want. I just sat here and I was like, okay, just what's on your mind? And he dropped a paragraph about how unfortunate and how horrible it is that Jeffrey Sanker is throwing all these parties and they're illegal parties and so forth and so on. And I acknowledged the message. I said, okay, message received. But if you don't mind it, this is Sunday Fun Day. We're going to continue with our program, and I'll be happy to address this tomorrow. That is today. So I thought we would be able to continue with the program as normal, but no, he hijacked the program. He kept dropping these big comments about what community standards are supposed to be, and this, that, and the other. And I understand that in theaters they call those people hecklers. People that just interrupt and disrupt your show. And in theaters, I understand they have big beefy guys that get them out of the theater so that the rest of you can continue to enjoy the performance or the whatever's going on. So we don't have beefy guys here at Coffee and Headlines. So we tried our best to ignore this gentleman who was apparently speaking for this large majority of people lots of people that are mad about the broadcast. And we ended the broadcast. And then yesterday afternoon, I received yet another word load of message unrequested from this particular gentleman, and conveying how important it was to him that this business with Jeffrey Sanker and the circuit parties get mentioned on a regular basis, and how wrong I was for not making this my crusade. And wrong for not letting a civilized discussion take place in my forum. He kept calling it forum. And that brings us to this very moment. So here we are with you, 216 people. Many of you represent the silent minority. And it is quite possible, according to this gentleman, that some of you are disagreeing with me and some of you are mad about my broadcast yesterday. And of course, once he said it was about Jeffrey Sanker, I went back and watched the broadcast from the day before, in which I do know we mentioned Jeffrey Sanker. And I'm going to tell you what I said, and I'm going to repeat it again, and I'm going to stand by it again. And then I'm going to hopefully clarify what Coffee and Headlines is or is not, so that you can understand it and try to prevent this from happening again. What I said about Jeffrey Sanker is that he is making international, not very favorable headlines about all the partying that he's doing here in Puerto Vallarta. And what I said was that I was not going to invest myself in stopping this because it is beyond my control. And I said, as I've said many times, that we need to balance our mental and emotional energy and focus it on things that we can actually do and solve and get involved in, things that we can actually change. This business with Jeffrey Sanker is way, way, way above my head. And it's never been my crusade. If it was my crusade, and it is an important issue, all this word load that I got yesterday, it shows that this particular person is very passionate about this. I wonder what this particular person is doing about Jeffrey Sanker. And all the people that seem to be mad, I wonder what they are doing, or I wonder what you are doing about Jeffrey Sanker on your own time. But this brings us to today. So I would like to explain a little bit of what goes on here and what I do for a living. And this is important. Do you want to know what I do for a living? What I do for a living is actually quite similar to what those ladies do at Costco when they stand in front of a product to share with you, samples. Some of you just love going to Costco and going from sample aisle to sample aisle. Well, I do my research, and every morning I set myself up in this virtual universe with a little tray of virtual information bits that have to do with Puerto Vallarta, with things, et cetera, et cetera. And I try to present them to you cheerfully, just like those ladies at Costco that, wish you a good day. They say things like, muy buenos días, te gustaría probar estas galletas, son muy ricas, et cetera, et cetera. And because many of you don't understand the language, many of you just walk by and, that's okay. Some of you just pick whatever you want. It's free. And some of you actually pick whatever you want and say thank you. Some of you engage with the person that is sharing these bits of information or these samples and actually have a conversation with this person. So what do I do for a living? I produce information that you can have for free. For free. Although I might say that there's a priceless, wonderful minority that eclipses you because they engage on a regular basis, they converse, they nurture the tray with goodies, they bring some interesting goodies of their own, and within that minority, there is an even more precious minority that has that's made the decision to support this tray, this endeavor of mine, to support the way I make a living by becoming ongoing members. So you see, there are these people that appreciate what you get for free so much that they pay me. They pay me on a monthly basis. They buy coffees, and they show appreciation. There are people that cannot buy coffees, but, that's okay. But please be mindful of the fact that the vast majority of you who just come in and go and just tune in, and that's okay, are getting all this stuff for free. And that's okay. I'm not expecting everybody to be watching live and everybody to comment on a regular basis. It's okay. I'm happy with the equation. You know why? Because I get so much nourishment from the minority that does engage. It's not even funny. Every time a person that is part of the minority that engages with me and says, I watched the movie you recommended, I had my first Dia de los Muertos and I understood what's going on, or anything, that means I am doing my job well. And that is how I make a living. But making a living like this does not entitle you to changing the rules in any way, shape, or form, just because it suits your personal agenda. I don't come in here every morning saying, welcome to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together where we are destined to hijack every single circuit party in Puerto Vallarta. I've never made that introduction. I have shamed people and I have shared infuriating news about incidents in the past. Of course, I was fuming when that stupid tourist from a country north of the border, two countries north of the border, decided to injure physically one of my colleagues, a reporter that was just doing her job on the beach. But that didn't become my crusade. I was incensed when I saw that Garza Blanca is expanding into the mountains, but that is not my crusade either. And yes, the circuit parties upset me, but that is not my crusade either. So please don't blame us for disappointing you in our opinions. I never said, hey, Jeffrey Sanker, have your parties. And I never promoted these parties. I don't understand why you could be possibly so upset about. So don't blame us for disappointing you. Blame yourself for having unrealistic, uninformed expectations of what we do here and what I do for a living. And I say that in the kindest, most honest way I can say. I deliver news, but I'm not a news anchor. I interview people, but I'm not a reporter. I write stories and take videos, but I'm not a journalist. I am Mexican, but I don't speak for Mexicans. I am a fluent English speaker, but I don't speak for the English-speaking community either. I am openly gay, but I don't represent that community either. I don't even speak for you, the community that joins us every day. I wouldn't dare to. I gladly converse with you, but I don't speak for you. The only creature in this world that I speak for is Luna, my cat, because she cannot defend herself. So if that upsets you, if my making a living with the way I make a living upsets you, if you are expecting that Coffee and Headlines is a platform or a forum or something that it's not, then I'm really sorry. But there's nothing I can do about that. What I can do about that is to invite you to partner with what we do here, invite you to engage in a positive way. Had this particular person said to me, Paco, this is really upsetting me, and why then can't we think of ways to make it better? That would have been a very different thing. If this person has said to me, this is so important to me and I see how successful you've been with your project, please give me some guidance so that I can have this project or a project like this for myself, that is a different story. But I am sorry to disappoint. That's not what Coffee and Headlines is about. And that's it. Now, I've looked at your comments now. I turned them on so that I didn't have to be distracted before. And I would very much like to see what's on your mind. Why? Because every time this happens, and I sure hope it doesn't happen frequently, it is wonderful to get confirmation from you as to whether we're doing things right or we're not doing things right. By the way, the door's always open. You know how to get in touch with us. There is a frequently asked questions website that I created so that you can understand what the project is about. Let me just throw it in here. ojeda.com/FAQ. There you go. Now every time anybody says that they're new, I very quickly say, welcome to Coffee and Headlines. If you have any questions about what we do and how we do it, this is exactly where you will find all those answers. Okay, and that was the shit show. Let me take a quick look at your comments to see if there's anything relevant that I need to throw in. Stephanie says, I think people just look to use any excuse to vent and confront. Here's something that is very real, Stephanie, and I feel it myself. There's such a thing as COVID fatigue, and I can understand that there are a lot of people who maybe just have too much time on their hands, that have nothing better to do than to get themselves worked up about everything and point their frustration and anger at the first scapegoat they can find. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to be that scapegoat. That's not what we do here. Some people should. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Thank you very much. I see a lot of supporting things. There's no need to go like this either. But if you disagree with me, you're welcome to disagree with me. People disagree here. This person yesterday gave me the impression, or was under the impression, that this is the you have to agree with Paco show. And that's not the case. That's not the case. We have disagreed in the past, and we disagree in a very civil way. And if you are if you are happy to do that, to disagree in a good way, in a friendly way, in a polite way, hey, let's disagree all we can. But we cannot possibly have a debate here, because this is not a debate. This is me coming in front of the camera from my living room and telling you and offering you freebies. Freebies. That's all it is. And thank God for those of you who have been kind enough to support this project, because that's how I make my living. You are how I make my living. All those coffees that you buy, all those memberships that you buy, that's how I pay my rent. And it is somewhat frustrating and disappointing that while I'm trying to tend to my little business, somebody would come in here and heckle and make their priorities be more important than mine. That is not going to happen. We will not let it happen anytime in the future. And I think that's all we really need to say here. Yes, that's pretty much all we need to say here. And yes, this would be a good moment for the what the fuck parrot, but I'm not even going to waste your time with that. What I am going to say, but this is important. This is so very important, and I forgot to mention this. There are a billion causes. And you know what the situation is? The reality is, my dear English-speaking friends, is that, yes, Jeffrey Sanker and his parties are a horrible thing, but that's just one in so many horrible injustices that go on in Puerto Vallarta and the rest of the world, well, in Mexico. But let's focus on Puerto Vallarta. A lot of shit goes on in our city that is horrible, and you're not even aware of it because, for better or worse, you don't speak Spanish. So I appreciate that your English-speaking atrocity is important to you, but while you're thinking and suffering and struggling and demanding in English and disagreeing and being really mad about the broadcasts in English, there are those of us that speak Spanish that understand that that is just one calamity among many others. Thank you very much, Candace, for helping me remember that. I gave you the wrong FAQ. That's not a good website. It's www.pacoojeda.com/FAQ. In that FAQ, frequently asked questions, we very clearly state that impolite, impertinent back and forth, insulting back and forth will not be tolerated here. I don't know if this particular individual will be banned or not. What I do know is that, in the opinion of some, his insistence in hijacking my broadcast and the way he deployed information on my personal inbox could be construed as harassment by some people. So it is what it is. That's it. Everything else is something that I will read yesterday. I don't want to take more of your time on this, but I do want to thank you, as always, for helping me nurture this community and turn it into the community that we continue to enjoy, and hopefully will continue to enjoy other people. And a final word. For those of you, if there are indeed some of you that are that are mad about my broadcast yesterday, it was actually the broadcast from the day before that you could have possibly been mad about. And if there are a lot of you that disagree with me, next time, feel confident to reach out to me directly, because the envoy that you sent to represent you may not have been the best one. I hope I will see you again soon. And between now and the next time that I see you, I hope you'll stay kind. I hope you'll stay friendly. I hope you'll stay well informed. And if I have offended you in any way for trying to make a living in these difficult times in the best possible way that I can, I deeply apologize. Other people make a living in similar ways. Kim Kuzma goes live and she does it for tips. Amy Armstrong goes live and she does it for tips. Mark Hartman goes live and he does it for tips. I entertain with news and information, and I sure hope that neither Amy nor Kim nor Mark get people that hijack their broadcasts because they're singing the wrong songs or songs in the wrong key or something like that. That is just not sporty, guys. Have a good day.